Hey folks, Fernando doing a video for More Survivalists, and today revisiting the Victorinox RescueTool. I'm pretty sure that I did a review about this one back in the day, so I've had it for a few years for sure now, but I was just doing a review for it for my Spanish channel, and I was thinking about some of the applications and some of the things in which this would fit rather nicely for many people in different roles. So first of all, of course, it is the Victorinox RescueTool, intended mostly for first responders, firemen. The idea is that you have several tools intended for such a purpose. So the obvious one would be the glass breaker, which I haven't used it, to be honest, but wouldn't be surprised if it works rather well. It is a sturdy, heavy tool, and you have a very well-shaped glass breaker there. It's removable, so you can pull it out with pliers, but in that role, and there's a video on YouTube from Victorinox showing how it should be used. If you're going to be trying it, I suggest using gloves as it's done in the video, because you may get yourself cut, but either way, you have the glass breaker. You have, of course, a main blade here, which is the exact same one as the one you have in the Soldier Victorinox, and we're going to be getting back to this tool in a second. But besides the blade, which locks, which is a big advantage, and it opens single-handed, so it's a single-hand use, solid sturdy blade that you have in there. You have, going back to the rescue tools, you have a seat belt cutter, and this is quite sharp. You could use it so as to cut clothes from someone that has been injured. Wouldn't be hard at all to slip it without hurting or cutting that person or the belts, and just with that shape that it has, catching it and cutting it, this should work better than some of the hooks I've seen in some of the tools out there, like the Rescue Me tool, I think it is. It has a glass breaker punch. That seems to be okay. I've seen it fail a couple of times, and the seatbelt cutter, that one I actually tried, it's not all that great. I'd rather go with the Victorinox. Besides that, it has a saw, and this one is intended so as to cut through the glass once you punch those holes with a glass breaker. So once you do that, you use the saw. So you basically punch like 4 holes in 4 corners, and then you cut out the square of glass where you're going to be pulling rescuing the person through. So that's the saw there. Then you have a large screwdriver, which is similar to the one you have in the Soldier, and besides being a flat screwdriver, cap lifter, and wire stripper, it is also intended to be used as somewhat of a pry bar, because it's pretty sturdy and pretty strong there, and it also locks into place. Then you have the owl or punch on this other side, and the large Phillips screwdriver. Okay, and then you have these the toothpick, which is kind of I don't see much of the use there, and you have the tweezers, which I do see the use here, especially for this kind of tool where someone injured, maybe a little piece of glass you have to pick out of your skin. That tweezer may come in handy. And in fact, the tool itself is glow in the dark. If I turn this off, well, you see that? Super cool, right? So yeah, it is glow in the dark, as you can appreciate there, which is a nice feature. So the intended use for this tool is quite obvious. It is a rescue tool, as the name clearly implies. I keep this one in my car, in the glove compartment right there in the middle. So I have a larger, like one of those security bars for the wheel of the car, which has a big glass breaker, and that's like a big old chunk of metal, like a big bar. And usually when firemen have to break glass, they use something like that, a bigger tool, not something small. But this goes in that middle glove compartment just in case, so as to have a secondary tool, especially for cutting the seat belt if that's needed. Even if I end up with it upside down, the glove compartment closes, so I can open it up, grab this tool, and use it. Besides that, there's also this niche type of use, which is being used as a normal pocket knife or a normal folding knife. And this was brought to my attention because my wife saw this tool and she said, that's pretty, that looks good, can I have it? So for a long time she had this in her purse, right? Because she thought, she basically liked it. She thought it was cool. When I explained how this is used, she liked it. Now, going back to the soldier model, it is basically almost the same thing, especially with the main tools. So you have a big main blade which locks into place, and this is the heart of any pocket knife. All right, so you have a serious knife. This is maybe not intended as a fighting knife or a self-defense knife, but it could most definitely be used in that role without any kind of doubt. Sure, maybe a more specifically made knife for that intended use, but it is still a locking blade that is of a certain size and is sturdy, and it locks into place and you can open it single-handed. Then you have, of course, the screwdriver, the flat screwdriver. Same thing, the exact same thing as in your soldier. In fact, the thing that you have here that would be the difference would be that instead of having the wood saw, right, instead of having the wooden saw, you have this glass cutter, which for something that more of an urban, I mean, for someone in a more wilderness scenario, the saw would be definitely something you'd want to go for. In an urban setting, the glass breaker and the glass saw, these are things that, after an attack, if you have to break a window so as to escape, maybe breaking the window with a glass breaker, cutting through the window with that saw, these are tools that in different type of urban setting emergencies, it may well be more handy than your actual soldier knife, okay? Because it's the same thing, just bigger, and the tools on the back, the exact same ones. And one last thought is that this is a lot less in this environment that we're right now, where appearances matter more than ever, because you know how it is these days. This is considered like a soldier's knife because the name is just that. This with the bright scales, fluorescent. I'm not trying to kid anyone. I have a glow-in-the-dark, cute-looking knife that girls even like. This is a lot less aggressive. And sure, if you go by the word of the law, if you have restrictions in terms of locking blade, you're carrying this thing in London, right? You're likely to get in trouble. Pretty much is a fact that you'll get into trouble if you have this in London, where the law says that you're going to jail if you have a pocket knife that locks into place, or a fixed blade knife. That is how it's written, and you're unlikely to get out of jail card ticket because of this. But in the rest of the world, where it is more left to the interpretation of the officer dealing with that, this is a lot more friendly and politically correct than your soldier knife, because it's a rescue tool. It's what a fireman uses, and because of the way it looks, it's more likely to not be as problematic as something like this, in spite of being pretty much the exact same thing other than the saw. So just another consideration for you guys to keep in mind, maybe for your wife. Mine definitely loved it. In fact, she saw me bring it out of the car for doing the video, and she said, "Where are you going with my tool?" Which I thought was pretty funny, because she would never say anything like that, except for maybe my HKP7, which she believes that it's her own. And I hope she doesn't see this video, although she sometimes does. But just between the two of us, I'd rather keep my gun. But yeah, it's fine if she likes it. That's okay. It is a more user-friendly, politically correct type of Victorinox. And you may think, I don't give a damn, I just want my soldier. Sure, but basically the same thing. Something to keep in mind. Folks, I'll leave the link for the tool there below in Amazon in case you're interested. Have an awesome day. Subscribe to the channel. Share it with people that may like it. See you on the next video. Take care.